Well, this is going to be a fun topic now, isn't it? Let's talk about third overall picks in the NHL Draft and how they've been doing so far, especially ones that happen to be centers and ones that had spent time in some form or another with the Montreal Canadiens. No, we're not talking about Jonathan Drouin. In fact, I don't even think he counts as a center anymore, but we are talking about the 2018 third overall pick as well as the 2019 third overall pick. Let's talk about Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Kirby Dach. Now, for Kotkaniemi, I know there was a lot of shenanigans going on with this guy and the 2018 first overall pick, Rasmus Dahlin. A few days ago, there were a few punches thrown, and Kotkaniemi had his gloves on, and he kind of clocked Dahlin in the face, and there were penalties and everything. And it was a pretty big thing, I feel, amongst the fans of the Hurricanes and the Buffalo Sabres to watch that go down. But I kind of don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about instead is rather just the point production as well as the progression as centers in this hockey league, because Kotkaniemi, as a guy who's 22 years old and who had been playing in the NHL since he was 18, you gotta remember he was the first athlete in the big four sports, so NHL, NBA, NFL, and MLB, to play in their league and be born in the year 2000 or below. He's the first guy ever to do that, so it's kind of interesting to see that little piece of trivia knowledge there, but he's been in the NHL for a while now. And he's playing with some line mates that are pretty good. He's got Andrei Svechnikov, firstly, who is the guy on his side. He's one of the top point scorers in the NHL. Meanwhile, Kotkaniemi, you look at his point production, and in 11 games played, the guy has 3 points. Meanwhile, the one goal that he scored was actually scored in said Buffalo Sabres matchup on Friday night on the 4th. So it had been such a long time. 10 games with 2 assists and 0 goals for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And I mean, when you're playing with Svechnikov and Necas, it kind of looks a little weird, doesn't it? Now, that's not to discredit his teammates, of course. I mean, Svechnikov, as we had said, has been one of the top point producers in the league, but it's very interesting to me how Kotkaniemi can play with them, alongside them, and as their center, and not get in on the point production action either. Now, Necas found him with a beautiful no-look backhand pass into the slot in the Buffalo game, which is how Kotkaniemi got his first goal, but it took him 11 games to do that. Now, I know it takes some people a while to score. I mean, Cale Makar just scored his first goal in the year a few days ago as well in Finland, I believe, but he unfortunately doesn't get that benefit of the doubt where it's like, okay, Cale Makar just won a Norris, we can give him some slack. For Kotkaniemi, it's like, okay, he has been sort of disappointing over the years, and it makes a start like this seem especially terrifying when you acknowledge that last season he had 29 points in 66 games played. This season, he's on pace for 22 points over the span of 82 games. He's been playing with good players the whole time. One may have to ask, okay, what the hell is going on here? Now, I get it, there are answers. I know Kotkaniemi is playing on that line for a reason. They like his services, they like the game that he's able to provide. It's just when you compare Kotkaniemi to a guy that also was taken third overall, in fact, he was the third overall pick the next year, in Kirby Dach, and what Dach has been doing with the Canadiens for Suzuki and Caulfield, it's been kind of interesting. Now, Dach is not really being played as a center right now. He is, as we said, the final winger on that Suzuki-Caulfield line. It's an interesting pairing, I would think, but it's one that, oddly enough, works out very well. If you go over to the Canadiens and their daily face-off page, Dach is the right wing, Caulfield is the left wing, and then you have everybody else following up on the roster: Anderson, Gallagher, Drouin, etc. I know Anderson, I mean, he's having a hearing today, so we'll see what exactly happens with him. But if you go over to Renaud Lavoie's Twitter account, he has a tweet that I thought was really interesting and I wanted to include here in this video. It goes over that line that we had talked about with the Canadiens. Take a look at this. It's been a big week for the Suzuki line. Caulfield, in 4 games played, has 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 total points, and he's a plus-minus rating of 0. Nick Suzuki, in 4 games played, has 5 goals, 3 assists, and 8 total points, and a +1. Kirby Dach, on the other hand, has 4 games played, a goal, 6 assists, in 7 points, and he's a +2. The line total in 4 games played has 9 goals, 13 assists, and 22 points, and they're a +3. The math at the end there is kind of interesting, but either way, Kirby Dach, in 1 game's worth of play, yesterday, against the Vegas Golden Knights, had himself 0 goals and 3 assists. That 3 assists is enough to match Kotkaniemi's total point production on the year, in the span of about 16 minutes of time on ice for Dach. And, I mean, Dach has been really good ever since being placed onto that top line. As Renaud Lavoie had said, the guy's got 7 points. And with that metric in the back of our minds, Dach right now is at a total of 10 points in 12 games on the season, on pace for 69, which would be a career high. Very nice, by the way. And if he ends up staying with the Canadiens' top line in Suzuki and Caulfield, because, I mean, there's no reason to remove him at this point, there's reason to believe that that 10 points in 12 games gets a little bit closer to a 1 point per game mark as the season goes on. The Canadiens, oddly enough, have found themselves a line that clicks so well with 2 top-tier players in Suzuki and Caulfield, and Dach is right in the mix, being as good as the rest of them. And I don't really know if it's like something that I was expecting to happen so quickly. Like, we always kind of knew that Dach had a lot of potential. He's a playmaker. He's Ryan Getzlaf 2.0. At least that's what we thought at the draft. But now you take a look at it and it's kind of coming to fruition that way. Caulfield is getting more assists as well. Suzuki is scoring a goal every game now, it seems, and Dach is getting assists on all of them. Him getting a goal, 6 assists in 4 games played, is very much attributed to the playing style and the passing ability that a Kirby Dach has. And a lot of Canadiens fans are starting to say, hey, the Blackhawks wanted to get rid of this guy. They really did. In fact, it makes the loss of Kotkaniemi and the offer sheet all the more easier to stomach. Not that it wasn't easy to stomach in the first place. I know a lot of people liked Kotkaniemi when he was here, but at the same time, that offer sheet made things very difficult for the Canadiens to proceed and carry on. I know you got Dvorak at the end of it because you traded away the compensation to get that player, but at the end of the day, Kotkaniemi doing as, let's just say, poorly as he's been doing on the score sheet, statistically speaking, comparing that to Kirby Dach, who in 1 game's worth of play was able to match that, it does make Canadiens fans kind of chuckle in the back of the room a little bit more than I feel we thought they would be, especially at the start of the year. I mean, if you told me that Kotkaniemi is going to be playing the majority of 2022-2023, the first 10% of the year, with guys like Svechnikov and Necas, I'd be like, yeah, okay, the guy's not going to take 11 games to score his first goal. He's not going to take 11 games to get up to 3 points. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I haven't been watching any of the Hurricanes games because all the sites that I used to watch hockey games are down now because, yeah, thanks NHL. But either way, it's difficult to really process the magnitude of difference that both of these guys have been exhibiting. I know Kotkaniemi's playing with good players and he's all right in that role. It's just points, man. You got to get points to justify the money. And at the moment, I mean, the guy's making $4-point-something million a year till the end of the decade, pretty much. And I don't necessarily think that 3 points in 11 games played is an appropriate amount of money for a guy that produces as much as he does. Meanwhile, Dach, I mean, I know he's on a little bit of a shorter deal. It expires in 2026. He's making 3.3. But if he's able to produce 69 points this season, which he's on pace to doing, that's a bargain of a contract, bar none. So, ton of the comments are your thoughts about Dach and Kotkaniemi, as well as what they've been doing so far. Let me know your thoughts when it comes to point production, as well as how Kotkaniemi has been playing. Is he justified to be playing in this type of a role, even though he's not producing all too much? Do you think he's going to get the ball rolling? He's been unlucky this season so far. Do you think Svechnikov and Necas are going to have to carry that line? Have they been carrying that line? Is Kotkaniemi just a passenger? Or is Kotkaniemi really the guy that stirs the drink, and he's just not getting lucky with points? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.